Another Sunday, another case of the Scaries to start your work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries, where we have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour that cup of coffee and turn on your fright lights while we take you on a tour of terror. And Dylan, busy week, very busy week on the channel. I got to see a
Yes.
couple new flicks, some that are released in theaters, maybe a limited release. Hopefully, those open up a little bit bigger, and one new release coming straight to streaming this coming week. Both very good films. I mean, Malum, we did get to see. It's already in theaters, although limited. Hopefully, that opens up. But man, what a great expansion upon Last Shift.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. That really came together quite nicely for us, because again, we're not sure what it was going to look like out here in Cleveland or Cleveland, Akron area of when we'd get a chance to see. We were just discussing before we hit record that luckily we did get the screener because there were no showings out here for us. You had to drive to Cincinnati if you wanted to see it. So, like Luke said, yeah, I hope that this expands because it's definitely a top-notch movie, good expansion on Last Shift. I think more people need to check it out. I'm really pleased with what we got. It's a lot of fun. I think towards the end of the review, you said it best where you're like, this gives very big Hellraiser vibes. I think that's very accurate.
And I'm just looking at social media now that this is opening up because we got that trailer out obviously early because of the screener, and now that a lot of people are seeing it, I'll say our review's catching some eyes and ears, and a lot of positive results are coming just through Twitter that I've seen. A lot of people are
Oh
really
yeah.
liking it.
Oh yeah, lots of people really on top of it, really enjoying it. I think it's definitely one of the best of March for sure. If you would have told me at the start that that would be my favorite of the month, I don't think I would have said that right away. I would have been a little trepidatious, but yeah, no, definitely a lot of fun, really cool. I definitely want to put some social media graphics, almost documenting like our favorite movie of the year, or not
Yeah,
the year, the month,
yeah.
kind of thing. Like I don't know, I'm just thinking about running stuff because I was just like, if I was to do this right now, we'd have January with Skinamarink, and then we'd have, obviously February with Outwaters, and then Malum for March. So, I was just like, yeah, this could be a lot of fun. I'm really glad it took off. But we also got to check out the new Screambox documentary, Living with Chucky, which was a lot of fun. How'd you feel about that one, Luke? I know you were very high on that one.
Yes, I'm very excited to this is hitting Screenbox on Monday, tomorrow I believe, right? April, wait, is
No,
it fourth?
fourth, so it'll be
Fourth, right?
Tuesday.
I got my dates mixed up, but I'm excited to kind of actually just, be able to watch this one at my leisure as we did get that screener. But, once this is on Screenbox, you can watch it as many times as you want. And that one still riding that high. We had the interview as well,
Mhm.
and this being able uh, to pick the director's brain and, figure out what went into this. And then, getting to watch this and just the aesthetic alone and the really kind of deep dive into Chucky that they do. Really well done.
Oh yeah, no, I was definitely very pleased with it. I thought they did a really great job, as far as just again, really giving you some heart towards the end of this documentary by diving into the creatives. Like that's just so rare. I know like a lot of documentaries when it comes to film and stuff try to do that, but I feel like this one just aced it. I feel like there's a lot of really great emotional conversations that you have, but it's also still very light, very funny at times too. You can really see the passion behind the scenes with all these people, and I quite enjoyed it. It's definitely up there for me as far as these horror docs go. And yeah, we did get to talk to Kira Gardner, which was great. Like she was just a ray of sunshine, lots of fun. She gave us a lot of good insight. Really very humble, especially because she's like, I'm still learning how to do this stuff myself. So there was that also mentioned because we didn't talk about it there. And we did talk to Anthony DeBlasi and Natalie Victoria there, which was really fun. Like just a bang up job for both of them. Like I thought both those interviews were a lot of fun to talk to creatives. I always like sitting down and picking their brains about new films. So
Yeah, because I mean, clearly both these labor of love, and you can really tell that that love is very evident in these properties. Where it's like, especially looking at some of the slashers of the 80s, where you have almost two camps, where some of the people in there just in it to have a job and get through it, and it's like, oh, I'm working on this stupid horror film. But then there's another camp where it's like people are absolutely have a love for it. They have that drive to, whether it's independent or not, to really get the film done. And you can tell with Chucky, with Malum, both huge labors of love. The creatives that are behind this really have a passion for it and want to expand upon that universe and really get that property out there. And obviously, we covered Chucky on Primetime Terrors. He is really back in the forefront in the horror community. And now Malum is honestly getting so many more eyes on that property as well. And I think you talked about it during that Malum during the review, saying there's so much here that we could really expand upon, even into a subsequent film. And I
Oh
really think
yeah.
that is absolutely true. I would love to see that. Um, it's always touch and go if you want to turn something into a full on franchise, but I think there's something left in the tank for Malum, definitely.
Oh, I'd say so. There's definitely a good bit they could expand on, especially with the cult and everything. Like they left a lot of windows and doors open for expansion, and I just genuinely hope we get there some point. But while we got that, why don't we hop into some news? I'm gonna just bring that up for us here with our first story, which we're talking Screambox, we're talking about exclusives there. We've got another Screambox original coming out very shortly here. I think this one is the end of the month, I want to
Uh,
say, or middle of the month,
is it the
sometime here in
18th,
April.
maybe?
Might be the 18th, but yes, we're talking Shifted is heading to Screambox. It's a Night of the Living Dead fans will love this indie creature feature. Now this one just recently popped up on our radar. I want to say thanks to Evan from Rockland Graves. I think I buzzed past the story, but he was talking about it with me, and I think Luke, you peeped that conversation too and saw that. Is that where this popped up for you, or did you see this in the feed?
I saw it in the feed initially, didn't click on it because I was like, maybe I'll circle back to this one. And then I did see it in the conversation with Evan, and I was like, oh, let me go check this one out. So it didn't initially catch my eye, but when you do hear indie creature feature, I think you're a little hesitant. You never know what you're really gonna get. It turns into a mixed bag here. It sounds interesting. I did check out the trailer. I don't know how I feel about it right now. I think I'll wait until this one pops up to give a full verdict on. I just don't know. I don't know if this is supposed to be zombie-esque or not. I know we had that news come out last week with Zack Snyder and is it Planet of the Dead or whatever he was
Army of
playing?
the Dead.
Yeah, and is that kind of dead in the water? And I don't really know how I feel about zombies anymore. It's like I don't know if this property has anything left in the tank. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Obviously, if it's an indie feature, labor of love. I always love the DIY stuff, so I'm intrigued to see what they're going to bring to the table here. But the trailer is still a toss up for me.
Yeah, I just watched it too a little bit before we got on here. This was one that I didn't know about until I spoke with Evan, and it definitely appears extremely low budget, which isn't an issue for us. But yeah, when you're talking low budget and zombies, there are so many
Yeah,
of those films that I've seen that don't hit it for me. Now I will say that they do say, are these zombies in the trailer? So I think that that's them trying to allude that no, these aren't zombies. There's something a little more going on with them, and clearly, with the poster with the arms coming out of their mouth, and in the trailer you do see a quick shot of something almost
coming
arachnid
out.
like coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I think that they are trying to say it's a little something different. But I'm curious. I'm always down to give something a watch. But I am curious to see again. These are some filmmakers I'd like to talk to. Just because, yeah, if you look at the screenshots here, this is very low budget. This is very much like I don't know if they intentionally color graded it this way or not, but this does look like something that where they were probably working weekends and trying to get this thing made. Um, but again, it's an intriguing poster. an intriguing concept. Like you, Luke, I don't think the trailer fully sold me, but I definitely think that we can get a review out for this and at least talk about it, and
Absolutely.
see where it sits, because it is just one of those things where, hey, if Screambox is picking it up, we've seen that they definitely, we don't agree with everything that has come out via Screambox. I'm not sitting here trying to fanboy out for them too hard, but we will say that normally 9 times out of 10, if they're picking it, it's pretty good chance it'll be at least watchable and decent. So
Yeah, and I think in the little blurb, the synopsis there, I can't really see it on the screen, but I think they're kind of melding in that creature feature aspect of it. But I think there's also kind of an element of a slasher or something going on within them being confined inside
you're
this
right.
house. And that's the element that really intrigues me there. So, because it's like it looks like more so the creatures are going to be the outside force keeping everyone inside, and then there's going to be this element of the slasher inside the house, which I think is very interesting. And then obviously the aspect of that the creatures eventually getting into the house as well. So I'm curious to see what they're really going to uncover if these aren't zombies, if they're going to establish some sort of new lore here. I think that could be intriguing. Obviously, when we're comparing it, they're saying Night of the Living Dead fans will love this. It's kind of like, well, those are big shoes to fill. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to bring here. Like you said, Screambox has picked this one up, so at least we're going to be able to stream this one in the comfort of our own homes. And then, you can't hate on indie creature features, any indie filmmaking. That's the beauty of a Shudder, a Screambox bringing these properties to us that we probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. So, I'm not going to hate on this one. I'm very curious to see what they're going to bring and what kind of elements of the storytelling they're going to show us.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we'll definitely be checking this one out for sure. Again, it will be on the 18th. You were correct, Luke. That this will be heading to us. So uh, definitely let us know what you guys think. If you've seen the trailer, do you think this looks cool? Do you think it looks fun? But yeah, why don't we move into our next story here? We're talking Dead Ringers. Yes, the Prime Video has put out its first trailer for Dead Ringers, which is coming to us really fast on April 21st. I know we covered this really early on in Sunday Scaries. I think right around when Crimes of the Future was coming out, they were
Yep.
talking about other Cronenberg properties, and this one getting a remake from the 1998 or 1988 thriller. I have not seen this. Luke, have you seen the original Dead Ringers?
Yes, I've seen the original Dead Ringers a little bit ago. Actually, this Dead Ringers, in terms of Cronenberg properties, was not one of the ones that was a must watch for me. So I did watch it, but it isn't something that I have went back to like Scanners or The Fly or anything like that. So Dead
Yeah.
Ringers is something I'm going to have to revisit. I think in my research for this one, I think it's playing on Peacock right now. Um, I do know Jeremy Irons in this does give a pretty impressive performance as he's playing two different characters, as we see Rachel Weisz also playing, two different characters in here, which is very intriguing to always see those different personalities in trying to establish, the same actor but playing two different characters. So I'm really intrigued to see what they're going to do with this one. I think the trailer here is pretty fun and upbeat, and she is giving us a lot of different personality in this one. So I'm intrigued. I think Cronenberg stuff is again, we've talked about John Carpenter and being expanded upon in terms of there's such a rich lore and universe on his properties. I think that also falls in line with David Cronenberg as well.
Yeah.
Um, I think Dead Ringers is something that probably doesn't get its due amongst a lot of general horror fans because again, David Cronenberg has so many great films. So I'm curious to see how this one's going to be received, bringing it back into current modern times in 2023.
Yeah, and like just kind of diving into this a little bit, there are some cool names attached to this. I didn't know that Karen Kursama was attached to this. She did The Invitation from a few years ago. She is also, I believe, she's responsible for that movie Destroyer from a few years back, if I remember correctly. The one with Nicole Kidman.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yep,
I never saw it. I definitely wanted to. And then I think her big claim to fame for most people is going to be Jennifer's Body,
yes, yep.
which I think is finally getting its due. I watched that movie years ago. Being a young adolescent boy, I didn't understand any of the context. I was just like, hey, Megan Fox is a creature? Like, hell yeah, let's watch her kill people. And I was like, that was okay. And then I watched that like a couple of years ago, and I'm just like, damn, they're really saying a lot here. So it's pretty cool that she's gonna be behind this too. But I mean, hey, Rachel Wise, like, I'm so excited for her for this because like she is an actress that has just consistently given fantastic performances. I think for me, I mean, like, I know everybody likes to talk about the Mummy movies and stuff with her from the 90s and early 2000s, but man, where she really popped up on my radar and became something really special was The Lobster, which I talk about that movie a
Yes.
lot with Luke, is just that's my favorite Yorgos film. So it's like when she did that, and then she went on to be in The Favorite as well with Yorgos. So when she does that kind of work, when she works with him, it's always pretty awesome. And I think that she looks great. I definitely like the personalities in here. Am I going to be able to watch all 6 episodes right away when this comes out? Probably not, but I think I'll probably check this one out. Definitely, I know, or you're probably going to check this thing out in time, so you'll let me know if this is worth the watch or not. But I definitely think I need to see the original, and I need to see this.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm probably, to be honest, I know that weekend's probably going to be a busy weekend for us,
Yeah,
considering Evil Dead Rise and everything. But I definitely am going to make some time for this one. I want to say that I'm going to probably try to binge all 6 episodes just because I'm very intrigued. I think um, from the trailer perspective, just her performance looks great. I think you have to cast an actor of her caliber in something like this, especially when you look at something like the original with Jeremy Irons. I think the casting's great here. The aesthetic looked wonderful, and I'm curious to see what kind of social issues they're going to tackle in this one as well. I think again, there's a rich universe here to really uncover. I'm excited to see how this one's going to do, especially as we talk about um, a lot of these streaming services doubling down on horror and stuff like that. Whereas, like, I'm excited to see how this one's going to perform because I think this is one that's probably going to be talked about for weeks after its release.
I hope so. That'd be pretty awesome. Cronenberg stuff getting a little bit of a re-envision, a retake. I just hope people don't get too hung up on the whole like, oh, they're just doing it recasting women kind of thing. It doesn't feel like that at all. I think that
No.
like everybody just kind of immediately goes to that whenever they remake and recast and gender bend roles and stuff. But this definitely, with the team behind it and everything, this seems very intentional, and I'm excited for this. I think I would definitely say that I'll check it out at some point. But you know, like you said, that weekend it's gonna be tough. I'm probably gonna try to see Evil Dead like 3 times, so like that's kind of my goal. So
I
yeah,
can't fault you for it.
yeah, I'm gonna try to go as many times as I can get away with it. But yeah, no, definitely Dead Ringers will be nice to kind of fall back into, maybe leading into May for me to kind of check out. But yeah, why don't we move on to our next story, which we've been getting a lot of 1950s stuff getting rebooted, and it seems like that trend is going to continue with the 1956 monster classic The Mole People by Universal is getting a remake, which I saw this and I was just like, okay, hell yeah. So we're doing some more of this kind of rejuvenation of the 1950s aesthetic. We have them getting a remake there. We talked about that. We had that indie project.
The what? Is it what?
The
Or I can't.
What? Yeah, it was called The What. It's getting its own, it's getting made, getting rebuilt. And now The Mole People. And I guess if you want to say Guillermo tackling Frankenstein, but I kind of feel like that would have happened regardless of this kind of boom anyway.
Yeah.
But we could maybe throw that one in there for good measure. But yeah, this really caught my eye. And you said that you were thought this might have to be a sell for me to talk about. So it was kind of shocking that I was like, hey, let's talk about the Mole People.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
I thought this one was going to be something that I was going to be like, nah, well, it was in my lineup to discuss, but I thought maybe you were going to have something maybe in your back pocket to discuss, and this one may have been sidelined for a moment.
Was it the
Uh,
dive? Was it the dive, the shark movie that there, or the maybe possibly shark film that's coming out? Was that what you thought I was going to throw at you?
No, no. I
Okay,
just
all
I just
right.
figured you had something else that I wasn't sure how much you were gonna be wooed for the mole people, to be honest. But
I'm into
it's
it.
this one sounds like a lot of fun. I always go back to the conversation we had with Levi with talking Tremors. I mentioned in that where it's like I felt like maybe some studios don't know what to do with kind of these monster movie creature features and how to sell them. But it looks like we're really kind of dusting those off now and trying to bring them back into the theater, which I'm 100% for, especially when you're looking at something like the Mole People or Them, where it does have that 50s aesthetic. And these are the types of films that I think are worth remaking and bringing into the modern era when we're talking about 50s movies, especially with I think there's a slightly different spin on this one from the synopsis here. So I don't know how true to form this will be to the 50s Mole People. I haven't seen it. I actually tried to watch this one. I tried to see where this was streaming. Unfortunately, it's a lot of these 50s monster movie creature features are not available anywhere. Um, I don't even know if this is available for purchase, to be honest, because I think I did search Voodoo and it did not pop up. So I just had to watch, the trailer on it just to kind of get a feel for it. And it looks really interesting. I'm curious to see how they're going to bring this into the modern era and what they're going to do with it. Because, played right, this can be downright chilling.
Absolutely. I don't know too much, like you said there, about the actual story of the mole people, but I do like it. I did kind of peep this though when I was scrolling through here, and I did just check. You can purchase it on Blu-ray for $22 right now on Amazon.
Okay.
So if you want to make that commitment, you have that. Um, but yeah, no, I do agree with you. You know that I'm definitely for these 1950s classics all getting kind of a modern take towards them. Whether they're good or they're bad, I like that because it's one of those things where whenever you do something like this, it's only going to encourage people to go back and check out the original.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people do that recently in the last couple of weeks with Children of the Corn. A lot of people on Twitter and other spots saying, hey, I watched the new one and I did not like it, but I did go back and watch the original. And, it has varying results, mixed results. Some people actually really like it. Some people say, yeah, this whole franchise is a dud. But it's something that it's like it's nice that we're kind of going to get people back into the black and white stuff because, like you and I are always championing the Universal monsters, and just how like it is so hard to sell people nowadays on watching that stuff because of how dated it looks to them. But I mean, like it truly is the groundwork. It lays the
Yeah.
whole groundwork for some of this stuff. Like the mole people, to me, I feel like this might be a bit of a stretch, but I feel like just from what I've read and what I know, like this is kind of that stuff that really gets us into that B movie kind of stuff where it's like we get the fun stuff like Tremors and Eight-Legged Freaks and things like that because of stuff like this. But at the same time, you're right. Like I think that if they do give this a nice modern uptick, we could potentially see something pretty chilling and pretty interesting. I'm very
Yeah.
curious to see what they do.
I honestly, probably going to equate this new Mole People to how the original uh, the Thing from Another Planet and John
That's a
Carpenter's The
good
Thing,
call.
or the original The Fly to Cronenberg's The Fly, where we have that different feel. Even like Invisible Man to the newest Invisible Man. That type of modern spin on things here. So I'm curious to see. I don't think we're going to get the iteration that we're used to in this trailer from the 1956 version. So I really want to see what they're going to do here. My mind always goes to like something like Antlers or um, the one scene in Escape from New York when Snake
Oh
shows
yeah.
up and they're all coming out and he's running. Like for me, like that type of idea. I think, or hell, even Chud. Who knows what we're gonna get? We could get any kind of those aspects, but I think we're gonna kind of get this modern take on it. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to bring here. I'm definitely excited for it. I definitely want to see more of these 50s properties being brought into the modern studio, kind of in the theaters in the next few years.
I agree, and I think we are on that path. We are pretty set and on that path because, my apologies. It seems like every week now we just like one of these stories breaks, or every other week, where we get something from the 50s or a 50s like aesthetic, getting brought back. So it's like I'm very curious to see this resurgence. I hope that it hits, and I hope it takes off. But moving into our last story for the day, we're talking about Thaw. Evil Dead Rise filmmaker Lee Cronin directing aquatic horror movie from New Line. Now, I mentioned Dive a couple minutes ago, just off the cuff. It was kind of fun. Apparently, there's just going to be a movie. It feels very 47 meters down, where these people get trapped at the bottom of the ocean due to a landslide,
Oh,
kind of thing. I don't know if it's necessarily sharks like 47 meters, but, you know, I was like, okay, that could be a story. But then I thought, well, we had Black Demon last week, and now we've got Thaw, and I would rather talk about Thaw unbiasedly, here, because this just sounds interesting to me, man. Like I kind of like the whole pitch that they kind of line up for us here. Did you
yeah.
look into this at all?
Yeah, I did. I mean,
Hmm.
I've read the article. That's pretty much as far as I went with it. Do you want to read the synopsis for us?
I can, yeah, if you want. So, set years after the polar ice caps have melted and the sea levels have risen, the story centers around a group of survivors at sea searching for a new home. Their prayers are answered with the discovery of an inhabitable town until that is what they encounter. Until that is, they encounter a new nightmare living just below the water's surface. So, yeah, you don't have to sell me very hard on that. I'm cool with it. Creatures, monsters, whatever the hell they end up being, attacking people from the water. Like you guys know me, that's an ace in the hole. I'll be checking that movie out. But Luke, how do you feel about that? Lee Cronin jumping from Evil Dead to an original property here.
I'm excited that we already have a Lee Cronin property coming out. Post Evil Dead Rise. They're doubling down on them. I have yet
It's
to
a good
see. I think
sign.
it's A Hole in the Ground. I haven't seen that one yet, but I've heard pretty good things. So I'm curious. I want to try and check that one out before Evil Dead Rise. But this one has me sold already just from that synopsis. I'm curious to see what kind of threat we're going to be dealing with here. I instantly get vibes if we're going kind of into a town here. It was giving me Dagon vibes, maybe the
Yeah,
HP Lovecraft property, as well as like I don't know if we're dealing with like a creature from the Black Lagoon style coming into the town, something. I would be very intrigued with that type of stuff. Especially with dealing with those supernatural elements in Evil Dead Rise, which just from those trailers, it looks like this one could be a pretty big win for Lee Cronin. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do, what he's going to bring here, because it looks like he's pretty versatile in terms of themes in horror, and he's not afraid to kind of um, go out into left field. So I'm really curious to see what this story is that's going to unfold here. They did a really bang up job in terms of just selling us on these few little lines that we have. It's got my curiosity heightened for sure.
oh yeah, and this whole concept of the polar ice caps melting and everything like that. That's one of those things that I've been seeing a lot more, like stories and stuff start to pop up about it because it is, whether you want to believe it or not, that's a reality we have to face. And there are other horrors that lie in wake in that. So the fact that they're going with the, maybe the monsters are coming from the melting, that's cool. I'm fine with that. There's another movie. I don't know if I'm calling. Is it Blood Snow? I think it might be this, but it's I think this is it. But it's basically this research, like these people who are researching the mountains somewhere. Um, they start seeing all this blood like leaking out of these mountains where they're melting and the snow is starting to kind of deform, and it's releasing all these viruses, and it's starting to affect animals and things, and they're starting to like mutate. So it's really cool. It's like it's a good idea, and there's a lot of concepts you can go with it. So I'm very curious to see where Thaw is going to take this. I think that this has a lot of potential to not only be a great aquatic horror as they're labeling it, but also kind of a nice maybe ode to the Thing in a lot of ways, where it's like you could have mutations, you could have people getting sick. There's a lot of ways I could take it. It really gets my mind racing, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be very kind of closed off, maybe claustrophobic, even though they are in an open town, especially with a limited amount of people there. I think this could be really interesting. Like you just mentioned, a bunch of different scenarios that I didn't even, think of. So I'm even more intrigued with this one to see where they're going to go with the storytelling here, because this has a bunch of doors that we can open up in terms of storytelling and different elements that we can bring in when we're in the horror genre. So Thaw, Evil Dead Rise, it's a given. We're already there. Yeah, Thaw, absolutely. As soon as this one hits the theaters as well, we will be there to give this one a full review.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be there. Right now, Lee Cronin is very high on my list of people I'm excited to see their work. And if Evil Dead Rise hits and hits well, then I will be right there to champion him all the way to Thaw. So, alrighty, guys, it's going to wrap us up here for the Sunday Scaries, as usual. Um, yeah, so, pretty good week, I'd say. Lots of fun stories, lots of cool stuff, some new things on the horizon, as always, and some things that we can get excited about that aren't too far off, which April is looking like a pretty stacked month, which I got to say, again, we seem to do this at the end of every month. We kind of sit back and we think, okay, yeah, I got a couple of big ones, and then you really look back and you start seeing what's coming to streaming and what originals are coming out. It's like, damn, okay, it's really stacking up quick. So, Luke, how you feeling about the month of April?
I'll tell you, just doing research for this episode, I kept looking at the release dates, and I was like, wait, this is coming out this month, and that's coming out this month. So, like you said, in the horror community, in the horror space, those dates fill up quick, and April's going to be no different. I'm intrigued with a lot of the things we talked about here. It's pretty evident that studios are doubling down on horror. It is a wonderful time, and it's a great time to be discussing horror. We are so lucky to have started the podcast back up.
Right? Yeah, we always get back to that where we're just like, man, we got really, really lucky with being able to when we chose to do this. But alrighty, guys. Other than that, yeah, we got a lot of great stuff on the channel. Like we said, we got those 2 interviews up right now. You can check those out, as well as our reviews for Malum and Living with Chucky, which are all fun, all great. Other than that, we do have a lot of great stuff coming to the channel. Again, we're just mere weeks away from Evil Dead Rise, so we're gonna have some Evil Dead content start to show up on the channel here. And yeah, just keep an eye out for us, because we always got stuff popping. We're trying to get things figured out. I will say, I guess we can just throw this on here and maybe cut this off at the end. But we are not going to be releasing a podcast this month in March. Unfortunately, we just had a lot on our plate that was coming out. We really thought we were going to be able to get it done this week, but I have been sick for the last 2 weeks. I can really only record for short bursts of time. About a half hour, 40 minutes is really my cutoff. And I'm just having a hard time recovering from this. So as you can hear through my voice, I think I was doing pretty well, and then it just starts to get worse and worse. But so yeah, you can throw that on my shoulders if you want, as what happened with it. But we are going to go full steam ahead into our next pick, which will be Luke's. So we'll have that coming out this month. And I think we're going to make this one up for you guys in October. So that's what we talked about, with the Splatterthon happening in October. Seems like the best month we could choose to release 2 episodes. So we will do that. So I apologize for you guys there, but yeah, keep with us. We do have a lot of great stuff coming to the channel. We will not be missing this month at all for podcast wise. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know Luke's really eager to dive into it. I am too. It's a movie that I would say means a lot to us. So, I think that we got a lot to say, and it's going to be a fun, long episode for sure. So
A
we'll
lot to
make up for
uncover.
it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But other than that, guys, yeah, if you're new to the channel and you're just discovering us, please hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, other than that, I guess that about wraps us up. So till next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.